We got some news dropping today. We got interesting stuff to get into, player stats, other things to talk about. Players running shit at a high rate right now. We'll talk about some of that. Also, some 35-year-old balding man proves that there's truly nothing more degenerate than one of us. That's right. Let's get into this stuff here. A man who had just had a child evidently lost his PC setup in the setup of a baby room. Unfortunate, but the man continued to play. That's right, he continued on his Steam Deck and eventually hit plus 3,500 rating in Mythic Plus. That's right, this man was able to use his Steam Deck to continue to play WoW because, as I said before, nothing would get in the way of a balding 35-year-old man and his WoW. So he continued to play and eventually hit 3,500. If you're interested in wondering how he did it, he's got a little list of some of the add-ons he used and things to be able to achieve this. Pretty impressive. I'll link this in the chat and down below, obviously, if you want to set up your Steam Deck to make sure that you turned out to be a degen father just like this. That's a proud moment. Let me say I'm proud of this man. Definitely continuing to push harder. Looks like he plays Unholy DK too, interestingly enough. All right, moving on here. We got fresh level 90 alts, able to gear out faster than ever, guys. If you didn't know, with this week's reset, we're getting the Quell Thalas equipment chest for 750 Void Light Marl. You'll be able to essentially gear out your alt off the bat for 200 up to 246 item levels. So it gives you 1 of 6 champion gear, basically setting you up for early LFR rating, a little bit of Mythic Plus, maybe early Mythic Plus. So this is a really good way to quickly gear out your alts right now. Basically just trading this stuff off, all warbound shit, sending it around, getting those alts geared out quicker than ever. And then honestly, with solo play, delves, ritual sites, and everything else, you can quickly get caught up. I had a cousin just yesterday. I was at a wedding last weekend, and he was telling me, "Hey man, is it too late to get into Midnight?" I go, "Bro, are you serious? This is the most soloable, catch-upable, whateverable, fuckable expansion ever. You could literally jump into this thing any minute and get caught up and start playing this game." So there is at no point you are too far behind in Midnight right now. If you have stopped playing or you're just going to get started playing, you can get caught up real quick. And Blizzard keeps adding more shit like this to honestly get you caught up and running real quick. Cousins go for tight. Yeah, right. WoW's Midnight Watchdog saves raid groups gold. I didn't even know this thing existed. But this Watchdog, or also known as W47HCH whatever, is a engineering toy that pauses your flasks and consumables for 15 minutes. I didn't even know this existed. I know the pause pylon used to be a thing, but this is now a thing that engineers can make, and it lasts about 15 minutes, pausing your consumables and food items, basically holding everything steady, not letting that shit pass over time. Now, this thing does, obviously, as soon as you get into combat, it explodes, so it doesn't last beyond that. But if you need to pause in a raid or in a group, for a little bit of time, this is a good thing to put down. Engineers can make it. You can buy it off the auction house if you're not an engineer. But a nice little TSA there. I didn't even know this was a thing. Yeah, but as Sam, we're using Icy Veins today. Yeah, there was, we're going into some different news articles today. Some interesting stuff for sure. First off, WoW players may already know when Season 2 is beginning. That's right, guys. We have dates for Season 2 potential. I mean, and this looks really promising here, so let's get into some of this here. Midnight launched on March 3rd. Typically, you got about a 24-week push, right, until the next season starts. So right now, that would put us at about an August 18th date. Right now, also 12.0.5, we know, launched on April 21st, giving us an 8-week patch cycle, which would take us to about June 16th. For 12.0.7. Now, we did recently talk about the Turbulent Timeways delay, taking us into what would essentially be about a, August 11th date. So with that pushback, we don't know if necessarily that means the patch is going to be pushed back, because we thought 12.0.7 would be launching on June 16th, which it very much still may be. But right now, we had a 2-week pushback of the Turbulent Timeways event. So the Turbulent Timeways event previously on the PTR was said to be launching on June 16th with the launch of the patch. It got pushed back 2 weeks. We don't know if that means the patch itself is going to be pushed back 2 weeks. But what that does mean now is the Turbulent Timeways event ends on August 11th. Now, if you look back at previous Turbulent Timeways events, guys, these things always ended just the week before. So the next Tuesday, the next patch would launch, or the next season would launch, or they'd have a week delay until the next season launches. Right now, with that August 11th date, That puts us nearly perfectly with every other season that we've recently had in Modern WoW in terms of that 24-week cadence where we're going to land on August 11th. That's right. I don't think that's a coincidence that the new pushback of the Turbulent Timeways event literally ends just in time for the 24 weeks to be up and the next season to start. Now, if we continue to go forward, we could even go further than that with the 24 weeks. We could look right here at these dates. That would mean 12.1.5, 8 weeks. You got October 6th for that launch, and then 12.1.7, another 8 weeks for December 1st. So that would put us at a Season 3 launch date, guys, for 12.2 of January 26th of next year. That's right. So this is looking pretty, I think, pretty well in terms of lineups. You never want to see a new season kick off, like, say, on Christmas Day or something. That never is going to work out. And you never want to see a new season also kick off, like, at BlizzCon or something, because they want to kind of be rolling with that shit, have all the bugs fixed. So right now, the way these days lined up, this is pretty good. I think these are actually pretty accurate dates. Again, the cadence continues. The patch cadence continues. This is old news, Sam. I mean, we did talk about the delay of Turbulent Timeways yesterday, so yeah, that is old. But taking that, which I didn't do yesterday, and contemplating that its end marks the beginning of Season 2, I hadn't really thought about it, and it is true. That usually is the case. So, yeah, we got some pretty solid dates now. I think August 11th, Season 2 could kick off, and then January 26th of 2027, if the world hasn't ended by then, January 26th would be our Season 3 kickoff at midnight. So some interesting dates here. We'll continue to look at these. Obviously, this is speculation, so we'll see if this turns out to be right. But for now, I think these are pretty accurate dates to kind of go off of. Also accurate DPS charts, boys. We have Mythic Raid and Heroic Raid DPS charts. Let's look at who the current leaders are. We had some adjustments just go live yesterday, so we'll see what happens with these charts. But right now, we got your current most played classes in the game. And no surprise here, you got your meta Andes. You got the guys always chasing the top DPSers in the game. Unholy DK, currently one of your top DPSers, if not the top DPS in the game. Also the most played. We got the most parses going off with Unholy DK and Mythic Raid, followed by Frost Mage, Demonology Warlock, Devour Demon Hunter, Retribution Paladin, Bestiality Hunter, Augmentation Evoker, Elemental Shaman, Balanced Druid, Furry Warriors, and Sub-Titty Rogues, kind of rounding out your top boys there from the bottom. Now, these classes got a lot of attention in this recent reset, so we're going to see maybe some changes here, and this is probably why Blizzard really laid into these classes in terms of big buffs. But Arcane Mage and Fire Mage at the very bottom. These are probably the two most buffed classes coming into this this reset this week. So this reset is going to buff Fire Mage and Arcane Mage quite a bit, so we'll see if they still stay here at the bottom. But they're currently the bottom two, followed by Devastation Evoker, Assassination Rogue, and Outlaw Rogue, also getting a lot of attention this week with the reset. Destro Warlock, Feral Druid getting a big buff. You remember 4% buff coming in for them today. Enhancement Shaman, Affliction Warlock, Frost DK, Havoc Demon Hunter, Marksmanship Hunter, Survival Hunter, and then Windwalker Monk, Arms Warrior, Shadow Priest, Sub-Titty Rogues. So those are your bottom boys there, kind of working your way up. Interestingly enough, as I said before, the big change is happening this week. Kind of came out of nowhere. We got a 4-hour-long reset this week, which means they're putting in the time and effort to make sure that these bottom boys get, we set. I know. They're going to get their buff during this week's we set. Yes. Moving on to some, the charts themselves. We're talking top 95 percentile, the most geared and big dick boys around. This is what the charts look like, boys. So right now, Frosty K sitting at the very top, followed by Survival Hunter, Windwalker Monk, Marksmanship Hunter, Frost Mage, Sub-Titty Rogues, Demonology Warlock, Devour Demon Hunter, Havoc Demon Hunter, Arms Warrior, Balanced Druid, Shadow Priest, Unholy DK. So there you go, Frosty K really taking the cake here with the top boy. I'm shocked at this, with Unholy being such a popular class right now and really leading in terms of damage across the board. But Frosty K just absolutely coming out strong here. I guess with single target damage doing really good work. A lot of this, again, is based, obviously, you got Mythic rating, single target. This is your top end, most geared out. Basically, you got Biz everything pumping out here. And this is what these numbers look like. At the bottom here, we got Arcane Mage, Feral Druid, Fire Mage, Ass Rogue, Elemental Shaman, Beast Mastery Hunter, Retribution Paladin, Devastation Evoker, Fury Warrior, Affliction Warlock, Augmentation Evoker. Now, looking at this chart, it doesn't exactly fit what the typical Andy's going to see in the game. What we want to do now is look at what Heroic Raid looks like, because that's really what you're going to be seeing when you're playing with players at a typical rate. And actually, the most popular class amongst the regular Andes is Frost Mage. That's right, Frost Mage really was the leader to start this expansion. So a lot of times you'll see whatever that class is. A lot of the regular Andes aren't going to be switching between a lot of classes during an expansion. So whatever started out strong is typically what's going to continue to be most played, and that was Frost Mage. Frost Mage came out the gate at midnight, absolutely freaking pounding. So Frost Mage continues to be the most played class in the game when it comes to like heroic raiders. Retribution Paladin just behind him, typically the most popular class in the game at all times. Unholy DK just behind Ret. And then we got Beast Mastery Hunter, Devour, Demon Hunter, Demonology, Warlock, Fury Warriors, Elemental Shaman, Shadow Priest, Balanced Druid, Augmentation, Evoker, rounding out your top boys there. Fire and Arcane Mages at the bottom here again, with Devastation and Assassin Outlaw Rogues at the bottom as well. No changes really there. The DPS charts for Heroic Raid, looking a bit different than Mythic. We got Survival Hunter actually at the top of these charts, followed by Sub-Titty Rogue, Frost Death Knight, Frost Mage, and then Unholy DK. So right now, I mean, DK is eating well. And so are Hunters, actually. Just behind Unholy DK, we got Marksmanship Hunter, which means you got Survival Hunter and Marksmanship Hunter in the top 6 there. And then Unholy DK and Frost DK also in the top 6. So you got 2 classes making up 4 of the top 6 DPSers right now. So those boys are eating real good. As I said before, it really, no matter where you look at it, whether it's Mythic Raid, Mythic anything, Fire Mage and Arcane Mage hurting. They are at the bottom here. Feral Druid getting big buffs today. They needed it for sure, as did Fire and Arcane, and as did the other rogue specs. So looking good right now. This is where kind of, you know, as I said before, the regular boys sit, right? This is where you're going to typically see people setting. Sam likes LARPing as a sports announcer of WoW. That's right. That's right. Yeah, we're coming in with the WoW PN. That's right. So look, sitting here right now, I would say not many changes, but there's going to be changes this week. So when these changes go into effect, we'll look at where these charts currently sit. But for now, this is where everything is. Now, looking at Mythic Plus, as I said before, with this season being probably the easiest season ever, the introduction of the Ascendant Void Cores and everything, taking everyone's item levels up, also the reroll system giving a lot of people best in slot, is just really pumping up these numbers. This season continues to be the most popular season of Mythic Plus, even looking back at War Within. I mean, even War Within numbers were all across the board, never competed with Season 1 of Midnight, still being our most popular season in quite a while. Now, looking right now, you know, no changes here. Pit of Sauron continues to be the most run, and Mayasara Caverns continues to be the least. Yeah, and Blizzard's actually tried to change this. They tried to multiple times nerf this dungeon, but it continues to be the least run dungeon in the game right now. Now, looking at splits, we continue to see this wave pushed up the kind of the board here. Right now, people will continue to push for those new achievements, the 3,500 achievement, and don't forget that Gladiator-esque achievement for being a top 1%er in Mythic Plus dungeons at the very end of the season. Now, plus 24 got done. That's right, so there's a change there. A plus 24 actually got done. We see plus 23s being run now at a higher clip, which is actually interesting. 57% of them are actually being completed on time, so people are really pushing high on these keys. Again, indications that this is probably the easiest season ever, but also an indication this is the most motivated season ever. People are motivated to push their keys higher than ever because of the achievements Blizzard's put out there for people to actually get done. Power progress has almost hit a ceiling right now in the season. Usually Mythic Plus gets easier from season to season, but where can tuning even go from here on the average player? High-end players will always find their limit. Maybe Midnight, the tuning will get harder instead of easier from season to season. Yeah, we'll see, because typically Season 1 is the hardest, right? We're starting out the most raw-dogged at the start of this. We don't even have tier sets, and people came out the gates flying. So we'll see what Season 2 and 3 are going to look like. We talked about those launch dates a little bit ago and how high these numbers are going to get. But right now, man, plus 24 is being run on this shit. And then finally, for you Overwatch, you know, enjoyers out there who also play WoW, a player actually created Blizzard World. Yeah, that's right. Blizzard World in World of Warcraft in the player housing shit. I don't often talk about player housing, but sometimes, I mean, this shit just gets so impressive. You can't not talk about it. This is in a fucking player house. Guys, this guy recreated the Blizzard World map inside of the player housing system. Again, the creativity of WoW players never ceases to amaze me, whether it be playing on your Steam Deck because you had a kid, or going into this game and, God, I don't know how much Hearthsteel this guy spent, but spending a ton of shit and blowing out this. Yeah, what? Exactly. Yeah, this is insane. This is inside of a house, boys. Inside of a house. Somebody built all this shit out. Pretty damn impressive. They even built the shark. I don't even know how they did this, to be honest with you. Looking at some of these photos and everything, clearly he's using like little couch cushions and shit. He just got creative. Yeah, so impressive, interesting. I don't often, as I said, talk about player housing, but sometimes I just get blown away by, look at the freaking shark. That is impressive. So looking at all this stuff, we'll continue to break out the WoW news as things come out. And for today, that is all in terms of news.